I've done a few of these now, and I thought I could confront the format a bit. The format of albums. Albums are an obvious development from musical suites, where multiple distinct pieces have a collective aesthetic, usually due to being produced in the same recording sessions and written and performed by the same people in the same period, using contemporary technology and maybe contemporary fads. And this makes each song a subproduct of the same product, like episodes of a season or chapters, let's say short stories in a book. That's about all the definition is. They don't even really have to be multiple pieces. It's just a chunk of music that's more substantial than your average few songs. I tend to love when there's something distinctive about each album, a particular flavour, so you can take a track in isolation and recognise which creative period it's from. That can be down to the producer, the performers, or in the more diversely talented, the songwriting. In this series, I've tended to include EPs if their material isn't replicated on a longer product. An EP can be a refreshing little snack between meals, or more often an appetizer before they can afford to commit to a full album. The name and the concept is skeuomorphic at this point, being an extended alternative to a vinyl single, but a single is barely even a thing anymore. Or it now literally refers to the one song at best, no B-side. I mean, it's the word single. Billie Eilish just put out an EP that's 2 4-minute songs. So apparently that's what counts as extended now that singles are literally singular. It's been a bit silly to rank EPs in this show because compared to albums, their drawback is brevity. But that's an element of the format, so it shouldn't be read as a flaw. But this is called Rank the Albums, and if I don't want to exclude them, I've got to assess them by slightly unfair standards. But yeah, I fucked up in that Die Mannequin video. Unicorn Steak with 2 EPs on it is a better disc than Danceland. On albums from the vinyl era, you can hear the shape of a 2-sided product, of an intro banger through to a closing ballad twice over, A and B. I always thought it's a bit unfair when there's an odd number of tracks and side A ends up with more tracks. It's yet another symptom of society's bias toward type A personalities. But it's probably just the convenience. I've published albums with between 9 and 24 tracks, and alleged EPs with 4 and 6. I've tried to stay conscious of the form, making something make sense in that potential 2-sided format, but I've probably not succeeded really. What I make makes sense as CDs. The culture of the number of tracks has changed over time, with modest beginnings, then more wholemeal offerings, then double album excess, low effort complacency, maximalist filler, and now this current wave of regular 7-track offerings. A set of 10 tracks can feel like doing the bare minimum or giving a completely honed product, depending on the rest of the context. Albums can be too long, but it's a weird criticism as surplus of available content. Please subscribe. If you're not into a track, the skip button is right there, but we just don't use it because that would degrade the arc of the whole product. Don't insult me with a skit track, and otherwise I really respect the 16 or so track album. It's determined to give us value for money. Ultimately, though, the track count isn't the thing. The duration is more definitive. On a CD, the consistent-ish maximum duration makes for a hard limit to the format compared to the vinyl era's wishy-washy trade-offs between play speed, sound integrity, and duration. I have punk rock records of way under half an hour and some sprawling hour and a bit things that feel like undertaking a long-term relationship. Concept albums are a beautiful concept, but very few of them tell a consistent, linear story with distinguishable characters that it doesn't take more than the duration of the disc's worth of reading to actually understand. I think I lack the attention span to write a thing I was just talking about. and I lack the interest in a longer narrative. Double albums are neat on vinyl, but on CDs, and bloody triple ones, can feel like homework to those of us who are so devout to the format that we want to put the whole thing on without pausing. It's so typical for an album's singles to be the first few tracks of its A-side, so it's great to see that subverted and to reserve track 1 for something far less obvious than a hit single. We can try to do that, but front-loading is so difficult to avoid. I front-loaded my second album because it had these weird-ass tracks that could not go at the front, and then it's also back-loaded, and the middle is just this necessary, ugly mire. A bad habit of the CD era is that hidden track after loads of silence at the end, guaranteed to scare you and impair your MP3 rep. If you've ever been to see an album performance gig, it's so awkward when they finish the last numbered track and then everyone has to sit in 20 minutes of silence before they finally reach the bonus song. A secret extra thing is a fun treat the first time, and after that it's just something that should have had a track number. Kudos to pre-gap hidden tracks, but fuck the effort of navigating to find them. Prince stubbornly published this album on a single track, insisting it be listened to in order. It's annoying for a disc with mostly, but not entirely, great content where you might want to skip to several different strong songs. Then again, I don't really skip things anyway. Even iffy tracks are part of the intended experience. I don't quite get a live album. If you can make something better than your studio tracks live, then you failed in the studio. Setting the scene of a specific evening's performance can impair the listenability. The same banter, the same crowd noise. And part of the appeal of live music is getting a slightly unique performance. Set that in plastic and it's no longer special, it's just greatest hits played faster. Compilation albums are a guaranteed way to present the most popular tracks without context, quite proudly shallow. They might work as occasional sing-along listens, but to an album collector, it's mostly just an annoying frame the Lucy tracks are in, among loads of repeat data. Compiling obscurities, though, is exactly necessary. And if we're leaving the era of singles and B-sides, we can admit defeat on those wasteful 8-minute CDs and neatly archive the content together. Anyone who owns the rights to B-sides should feel morally compelled to make them available to the public. Unless they're shit. And if they can be phrased as a collection, then that's the best way to catch them all. A decade or so ago, people were pretending the album is dead, but now we're doing all these 7-track things, surprise releases, whole Ed Sheeran albums topping the singles charts. The format has clearly survived its death, and so here I am.